Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the temporary Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So we have gotten a lot of new commanders, not just from the brand new set Phyrexia All Will Be One, but yeah, over the past year we've gotten like 400 or so commanders, a ton of new commanders. So with that, there are certain things that might break when you get that many commanders and certain cards that can work really well with them. So on today's episode, I'm going to be taking you through some new commanders with new one-card combos. First up, how about the Red Dominus from the brand new set? Sulfim Mayhem Dominus, a 5/4 Phyrexian horror that costs 2 red and says, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent opponent controls, it deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. And on top of that, pay 1 Phyrexian Red, discard 2 cards, get an indestructible counter on Sulfim Mayhem Dominus. Yeah, this can dish out a lot of pain with the right build. And when I'm speaking about a lot of pain, well, our combo makes it so that it's all the pain, because this card is going to combo with Heartless Hidetsugu, a 4/3 Ogre Shaman, which is also legendary. So yeah, essentially, if you've got a deck built around Sulfim, or a deck built around Heartless Hidetsugu, or you're playing against them, I should say, look out for this combination. Anyways, Heartless Hidetsugu says, tap, it's going to deal damage to each player equal to half that player's life total, rounded down. So essentially, the combo is very simple. You have both of these out, you tap Heartless Hidetsugu, and as long as your opponents are essentially at an even amount of life, they are gone. Because let's say everyone's at 40, right? You tap Heartless Hidetsugu, everyone is going to take 20 damage, including yourself. Ow, right? But your opponents are going to be taking twice as much as that, because Sulfim says again, your sources dealing non-combat damage to opponents are going to deal double that damage. So Heartless Hidetsugu is going to deal 40 damage to your opponents, only 20 to you. You will survive, your opponents will not. So yeah, this is a very simple, very straightforward combo that can be incredibly deadly. And again, if you're playing against either one of these commanders, you need to look out for it, because, well, it's going to take you out. Next up, yet another Dominus combo, but in a different way. We've got Dreadnought Carnage Dominus, an 8/3 Phyrexian horror that costs 3 black, and it says if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers initial time, and by paying Phyrexian black, exile 3 creature cards from your graveyard, you get an indestructible counter on Dreadnought Carnage Dominus. So, this one, well, okay, I'm kind of cheating here, alright? Because actually, the combo is not with that, Death Harmonicon aspect of this. It's not with that doubling up death triggers. It is simply to do with the ability to get an indestructible counter on this, and this one can do it quite easily. Again, basically for free. I mean, technically it could be 2 mana or 4 life. You're probably going to just do 4 life. You can get rid of creature cards from your graveyard quite easily, and once you do, this gets an indestructible counter on it, and then it's going to combo with the incredibly absurd World Slayer. That's right, World Slayer has more combos now. Goodness gracious. An equipment that costs 5, and it says whenever equipped creature deals combat to a player, destroy all permanents other than World Slayer. So, yeah, I mean, if you've got this equipped to Dreadnought, and it's got an indestructible counter on it, you are good to go. You just need to get through on one opponent. That is all you need to do. And yeah, by giving this trample or, evasion, you're going to be able to do that. Or maybe an opponent just doesn't have any creatures because you've got, some ways to take out their opponent's creatures. And you definitely do with this kind of a commander. Regardless, just get through on one player and everything goes bye-bye. Everything goes bye-bye, including lands. Yes, your lands, but your opponent's lands as well. But Dreadnought's going to be fine because that indestructible counter. So is World Slayer, and it's just going to stay equipped to your Dreadnought. So you can just keep hitting your opponents for 8 damage every single turn to take them out one by one with commander damage. And yeah, if they try to recover at all by, even just playing a singular land on their turn, you're going to be like, yeah, I mean, it's going to get destroyed because, boom, World Slayer again. Boom, World Slayer again. So yeah, this combination can be incredibly effective. And the reason I was saying I was kind of cheating when I was presenting this one is, well, okay, yeah, this one actually works with every single one of the Dominuses because all of them can get indestructible counters on them in different ways, but all quite easily and quite doable. So, yeah, you can just get indestructible counters on them go through with a World Slayer, again, hit your opponent in one way or another, essentially, and yeah, any single one of these will work as a combination because they can become indestructible, stick around with your World Slayer attached, and your opponents really won't be able to recover from that. So, just listing them out, Mondrak, Tekuthal, Zoppendrel, Dreadnought, and Sulfium, all of them work with World Slayer. And really quickly, the Dominusi, whatever they are not the only ones that can actually work with this as well. Thrun, Breaker of Silence, actually does as well. While Thrun cannot be countered, has Trample, so that can help get damage through. On top of that, can't be the target of non-green spells your opponent's control or abilities from non-green source your opponent's control, so some extra protection there. And as long as it's your turn, Thrun has indestructible, so that of course is the most important part for World Slayer. Basically, again, get damage through with Thrun. Again, that trample does help. You've got other ways you can probably pump this and get it to have more power so you can get damage through. Just hit with 1 point of damage on an opponent, and it's going to be tough for them to stop Thrun because Thrun has protection. And then, yeah, you can take out all of the things with World Slayer. So yeah, another creature, another commander that can combo with this. Yet another one is Marika, Brutal Gladiator. This is actually one of the Street Fighter new commanders, essentially, that, got the magic treatment. Anyway, 7/4 Human Warrior, must be blocked if able, as long as it's your turn, has indestructible. So again, basically, as long as a commander has indestructible and you get damage through with World Slayer, you are going to be able to take advantage of this fantastically, awesomely, incredibly brutal piece of equipment. So I also have to bring up Zamriel, Seraph of Steel, a 3/4 angel with flying, so there is some evasion right there, which can get you through on at least one opponent typically. And of course, as long as it's your turn, equip creatures you control of indestructible, which of course would be the case if you have World Slayer attached to Zamriel, which you would obviously for this combo. So yeah, as long as it's your turn, you're swinging with it, you're getting through on an opponent most likely, and it's indestructible, your combo works quite easily, quite efficiently with this brand new commander. Okay, and the last ones I'm going to mention, because I'm sure you're tired with World Slayer at this point. Yeah, there's a lot of commanders that combo with this. But the last I'm going to bring up are Ball, Bane, and Miracle, Lord of Bones. All of these are commanders that can become indestructible as long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total. They are indestructible. So if you're down to 20 life or less, and of course there are certain ways that you can actually ensure that you get down to that amount, this is going to be a combo that, again, does work as long as you can get damage through on an opponent. Yeah, World Slayer, a very powerful piece of equipment that combos with a lot of commanders and a lot in the past year or so. And speaking of Miracle, Lord of Bones, yeah, this one does combo with some other things as well, not just World Slayer. Regardless, let's read through this one, the other parts that we haven't touched so far. A 7/5 god for 4, white, black, green. Again, it's got that indestructible clause. It says, whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's an enchantment, and loses all other card types. So by doing that, yeah, there are a lot of things that can become incredibly disgusting with this. Be able to turn essentially any of your creatures into enchantments is great, but there are certain cards that combo with this in some very effective and spicy ways. So, Devoted Druid, yeah, this can combo right away with this commander. A 0/2 elf druid that costs 1 and a green, and it has tap, add green, which, again, I did say can combo right away, and yeah, normally you wouldn't be able to just tap this for mana right away, but what you can do is put a -1/-1 counter on it for free to untap it. So what you are going to do, essentially, is just say, okay, I get into play. Oh, let's untap it twice. Oh no, my Devoted Druid died. Oh, darn. So then you can exile it and then make a token copy of it that's just an enchantment, not a creature, which means instead of it being a mana dork, it's kind of like a mana rock enchantment in a way, whatever it is anyways. So yeah, it can basically just tap. Now, because it's not a creature, it is not summoning sick for a green. Then you can put a -1/-1 counter on it, and that does not matter because, again, it's an enchantment. It's not a creature. Those -1/-1 counters mean nothing to it. You just keep getting more and more counters on it, tapping it for mana, and yeah, you've got infinite green mana right away with this combination. Now, in a very similar way, this combos with Cinderhaze Wretch as well. It's not going to be infinite mana, but it is going to be infinite, or should I say somewhat infinite, something. A 3/2 Elemental Shaman that, again, has that exact same getting -1/-1 counter on it to untap it, so you can just take this out right away so you don't have to care about summoning sickness. Becomes an enchantment again, or essentially get a token copy that is an enchantment, I should say, and you can tap and make target player discard a card. place ability during your turn, so sure, there is that limitation, but yeah, your opponents will never have a hand again, essentially. Their hands are gone, and if you ever get back to, your turn, essentially, for them to have any cards in their hand, they're just going to be gone. You can just keep taking out their hands again and again and again. Yeah, they're going to be top decking and praying that they can get something to deal with this, and if not, yeah, you are going to have plenty of ways to win the game when you can just shut your opponents down from having any cards in their hand. And the final combo with this commander works with Barrington Medic, and again, in a very similar way, -1/-1 counters on it to untap it. So yeah, you can just immediately get 4 on it to take it out. Then you can just start tapping it as that enchantment version, prevent the next 1 damage to be dealt to a creature player this turn. You can do that an infinite number of times whenever you want, so sure, no creatures and no players can ever get dealt damage unless you want them to. So you are kind of invulnerable when it comes to actually, taking any kind of damage. Now, obviously, there are other ways that you can be taken out, life loss, etc., etc., etc. Regardless, in many circumstances, until your opponents can actually take out your Barrington Medic enchantment, you are not going to lose. So yeah, a very potent combination as well. Next up, yet another one of those gods that, again, combos with World Slayer because that indestructibility, or again, I should say, indestructibility based on your life total, Bane. That's right, yeah. This commander is not just annoying when your opponents go, and start quoting Bane from Batman and being like, I was born in the darkness, you merely were molded by it, or whatnot. Anyways, 5/2 god that says, whenever another non-token creature you control dies, target opponent may have you draw a card. If they don't, you may put a creature card with equal or less your toughness from your hand on the battlefield. Now, I will preface this combo with, well, this is kind of circumstantial, or it could be circumstantial. You might need to actually work with an opponent for this to actually work, but yeah, there are definitely some spicy things that you can do with this. So here we go. A technical 1-card combo with this commander is a card like Mortis Strider. It says when it dies, return to its owner's hand. So essentially, the way these triggers are going to be stacking is that you can say, all right, okay, my Mortis Strider dies, goes back to my hand. Then Bane's going to be like, hey, opponent, do you want me to draw a card? If they say no, then you can just get Mortis Strider back into play because, again, Mortis Strider, going to be in your hand, has the exact same toughness as, well, itself. So yeah, you can get it right back into play for free. Basically, you have an unkillable, in a way, Mortis Strider. And the exact same thing can be said about Endless Cockroaches. Again, when it dies, it goes back to your hand. So yeah, again, the exact same thing. Get it back to your hand, get it right back into play. Again, if an opponent allows that, instead of having you draw a card. Now, where this combo can get quite potent is when, again, you are able to actually make a deal with an opponent. If you say, hey, you know what? Okay, work with me here, opponent. We are, behind this other opponent who is so much further ahead, right? Help me get this combo working. So essentially, I've got Ultra Dimension play, alright? That lets me sacrifice a creature to mill a player based on that creature's power. I've got Endless Cockroaches and Bane in play as well. So I'm going to sacrifice my Endless Cockroaches and mill that annoying opponent that neither of us like 1 card. And then with Bane's trigger, you can be like, opponent that I like a lot, hey, could you just pick the right one for Bane, please? And the opponent will be like, absolutely. So I'm not going to have you draw a card. I'm instead going to have you put a creature that has equal or lesser toughness to your hand on the battlefield, which is that Endless Cockroaches that you just got back to your hand. So essentially, yeah, Endless Cockroaches going into play, being sacrificed, milling an opponent for 1, again and again and again and again, an infinite number of times, essentially, or, as many times as it takes to have their deck go away. And sure, if we want to get rid of the other opponent as well, we can too. And then we'll just have a one-on-one at the end of this, right? So yeah, this combo does require some audience participation, and by audience I mean one opponent that has a grudge against the other opponents, or that is behind the other opponents essentially. So this definitely can work if you're able to politic correctly, or you can simply use something like Worst Fears or Mindslaver to take control of an opponent's turn and make the decision for them, which of course would be the wrong decision for them to make every single time, because you're going to be like, yeah, let's just keep getting the Endless Cockroaches back to your hand and letting you get back into play for free, again and again and again, milling everyone, including the opponent who you're forcing to make that decision. So you're just going to mill everyone out without their dementia. Of course, there are other ways to combo in with this as well. I mean, just any kind of a sacrifice outlet would work with this in combination with, like a Blood Artist, you can drain opponents out. But yeah, Bane, Lord of Darkness, definitely has some interesting ways to combo. Speaking of interesting, next up we've got Shieldred the Apocalypse. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. Yeah, this is a brutal Phyrexian Praetor that many players out there are very excited about, and yeah, it has a combo that is quite potent and quite spicy, and actually involves one of my favorite cards of all time. Actually, I built an entire deck around this very specific card, so yeah, you might be familiar with it as well. And that card would be Lich's Mastery, a legendary enchantment with hexproof that says you can't lose the game, but it's got some other text as well. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards, which is fantastic. And of course, that is the part that does combo with Shieldred, because it does say, hey, whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. So you gain the 2 life as soon as you draw a card, even if it's just, the singular card that you draw on your turn. So yeah, draw that, gain 2 life. Then Lich's Mastery is like, hey, you gain life, draw 2 cards. And then you're like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'll gain 4 life and, draw 4 more cards, which will give me 8 life to draw, 8 more cards. And you see where this is going. Essentially, yeah, you're going to be drawing your entire deck and gaining an amount of life, based on, twice as many cards you drew, essentially. Regardless, you are going to gain a ton of life, draw your entire deck, and you will not lose, again, because you cannot lose the game with Lich's Mastery. On top of that, Lich's Mastery also does say, though, whenever you lose life for each 1 life you lost, you exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard, which is actually going to be nice once you go to your end step and have to discard down to hand size, essentially, and then you have a giant graveyard that you can utilize for that. Or if you've got, say, a Reliquary Tower in play, which, yeah, if you draw your entire library and you've got one of those in your deck, yeah, you're going to be able to get one of those into play most likely. So there you go. You're going to essentially have no maximum hand size. You can take cards out from your hand instead. Regardless, if Lich's Mastery does leave the battlefield, you do lose the game. So yeah, an enchantment-based board wipe will take you out. But still, a very spicy combo to draw your entire library, gain a ton of life, and to just sit there and have a great time having your just entire, library at your disposal. So yeah, I love Lich's Mastery, and this is quite the spicy combo. Now, Lich's Mastery also combos with another somewhat new commander from Streets of New Capenna from last year, Quasar Augur of Agonies. Whenever you draw a card, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. So again, let's just say you go to your draw step. You draw a card. Cool. I drew a card. I will drain that opponent for 1. Awesome. I gained 1 life. Lich's Mastery says, you know what? Let's draw another card. Then you do it again and again and again. With this combination, again, let's say that you've got, 80 cards in your library and you've got 2 opponents that are both at, 40 life apiece. Cool, you can take those 2 players out and just, be one-on-one with that 3rd player. Obviously, later in the game, too, players might have lower life totals, and you can just take everyone out with this combination. You might not be able to take everyone out with it, though, but still, you drew your entire library, you gained a lot of life, you probably at least took out 1 or 2 players, and yeah, you're in a great position with your entire library and Lich's Mastery in play. So yeah, yet another great combination. Now, one that is somewhat risky is with Drogskull Reaver, because this is somewhat similar to Lich's Mastery, but without the not being able to lose the game part. Whenever you gain life, draw a card. So again, draw 1, drain an opponent for 1, gain a life, cool, draw another card. Keep doing this again and again and again. Obviously, you probably can take out a couple of opponents. You might need to stop this combination at a certain point, though, or you're going to deck yourself and lose, unless, of course, you've got a way to prevent yourself from losing, or reshuffle your library, or, win if you deck yourself as well. So, yeah, different ways that you can work with this as well, just slightly riskier than Lich's Mastery. Next up, though, we've got Tibbett, Seller of Secrets, a 6/6 Sphinx Rogue that says, well, Flying Ward 3, Council's Dilemma, enters the battlefield or deals combination to a player. Starting with you, each player votes for evidence or bribery. For each evidence vote, investigate. For each bribery vote, create a treasure token. And also, when voting, you get to vote initial time, so you get to vote twice. Now, obviously, your opponents could, give you a bunch of treasures. They probably won't. They'll most likely give you clues, but you can pick 2 treasures as your reward for, again, this coming into play or hitting a player. So because of that, this does combo with Dead-Eyed Navigator, which has Soul Bond as long as it's paired with another creature. Each of those creatures has to pay 1 in blue, exile this creature, return to the battlefield under your control. Basically, hey, blink itself. It's 2 mana, just blink your own creature. So essentially, Tibbett comes into play and you're like, I would like to choose bribery for my vote and also my additional vote, so you get 2 treasures. Because of that, you can tap and sacrifice those treasures for, blue, or whatnot, essentially, and then blink it with Dead-Eye Navigator. And then Tibbett comes back into play, and you get that trigger again, and you can just keep doing this exact same combination again and again and again. Every single time your opponents, again, are having to vote, they're probably voting for evidence, giving you an infinite number of clues, essentially. And if they, for whatever reason, started to just change and want to give you treasures, but they probably shouldn't do that. But if they did, yeah, you've got infinite mana as well. Or, if you've got a way to get an additional vote, or a way to take advantage of that ETB further, or just, ways to actually, benefit from your sacrificing of artifacts. I mean, maybe you've got a Marionette Master in play, which can drain your opponents. There's plenty of ways that you can win from here. But at the very least, with this combination, infinite clues. Next up, an incredibly powerful commander from Phyrexia, all will be one, Unctus Grand Metatact 2/4 that says, other blue creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes tapped, draw a card and then discard a card. On top of that, it's an anthem for artifact creatures +1/+1, and by paying a Phyrexian blue until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a blue artifact. In addition to its other colors and types, activate only as a sorcery, so this one can actually combo in quite a few different ways. And that first part is essentially the main part when it comes to this comboing, though as we'll see here in a bit, there are other ways too. Regardless, the quickest and easiest way to combo with Unctus Grand Metatact is to use a card like Aphedo Alchemist, a 1/2 wizard that can tap to untap target artifact or creature. And of course, nowhere on this card does it say another target artifact or creature. No, it does not say another. You can just have this untap itself by tapping itself to untap itself to tap itself. Yeah, because you can do that an infinite number of times, you can go infinite with that first part. Or, I should say, I mean, as big as your library is essentially, you can just keep looting again and again and again. Because again, whenever a blue creature becomes tapped, you're going to be drawing a card and discarding a card. You're going to be looting one. And of course, there are plenty of ways to take advantage of that we'll talk about here in a bit. But yeah, you can basically just loot through your entire library with this 2-card combination that, again, even if you're not ramping, you're just getting a land out each turn, you can do on turn 3 because you just go, okay, turn 1, do nothing. Maybe play Wayfarer's Bauble. Awesome. Anyways, turn 2, Aphedo Alchemist. Turn 3, Unctus. And my library's gone. Now, obviously, that would just lose you the game. But again, we'll talk about ways to win. After, of course, we talk about Tidewater Minion, a 4/4 with Defender, but that doesn't matter. Pay 4 to make it lose Defender. That doesn't matter. Tap on tap target permanent. Yeah, that matters again. Nowhere on this card does it say another. It does not say untap another target permanent. So this can just tap to untap itself again and again and again and again. And when you're doing that, you are looting infinitely. Now, of course, there are plenty of other creatures that can combo with this. A lot of them say, untap another target creature, another target permanent. If you've got 2 of those in play, they can untap each other as well. So yeah, there's plenty of ways to combo with this brand new commander. One of those being taking advantage of all the draw triggers with Psychosis Crawler. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. Yep, you can just draw again. Basically, your entire library. Let's say you've got, 80 cards in your library. Cool. Draw them. Great. Your opponent's just lost 80 life. Chances are they're probably not going to have 80 life to lose. So they are taken out with this very simple combination. Or, how about Lab Maniac, or I guess I should say Thassauracle, or Jace Wielder Mysteries. Any of those, hey, instead of, losing the game when you lose your library and draw a card, you win the game instead. And obviously, yeah, you can very easily just do that. Again, with a Aphedo Alchemist or Tidewater Minion or any of those combinations of untapped creatures, there are plenty of ways to combo with Unctus, draw your entire library, and take advantage of either drawing those cards, discarding those cards, or even just, not having a library and drawing that last card that would lose you the game, but instead it wins you the game. And yet another way to combo with this commander that has nothing to do with that first part. Let's talk about Soul Conduit. Pay 6, tap 2 target players, exchange life totals. This one actually combos with that last part. Again, pay the Phyrexian blue until end of turn, target creature control becomes a blue artifact. Cool. That doesn't really matter for this combination. All you need is just a singular creature to target with that ability, which actually can be Unctus itself. So you just pay a Phyrexian blue again and again and again and again. It doesn't matter that, you're not getting any additional benefit from it. You're taking your life total down, to either 1 or 2 life, essentially. Then you use Soul Conduit to switch with an opponent, who very well could be at 40 life. So you're like, all right, yeah, take myself down to 1. I'll switch with you. Okay, now I'm at 40, you're at 1. Yeah, plenty of ways to take a player out when they're at 1 life. So yeah, this can be a very spicy combination. Again, aside from all the other combinations that this already has, this has a lot of combos. It's very powerful, very brutal. A very spicy commander. But when it comes to spice, if you've got the mana for it, well, Draftna's got the combo for you. A 2/1 Human Artificer Advisor that has pay 1 to blue, return target artifact you control to its owner's hand. Pay 3 to blue, tap, copy target artifact, spell you control. And of course, the copy becomes a token. And yeah, this one can combo in a couple of different ways if you've got a couple things set up, essentially. But also does combo with one specific card if you've got the mana for it. And that card would be Ugin's Nexus. Now, you do need 10 mana in total. One of that is blue. But yeah, I mean, if you are working with this combo and working to make this work, you've got plenty of ways that you can ramp very quickly to get there. Regardless, Ugin's Next is a legendary artifact for 5. If a player would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. And if Ugin's Nexus would put into a graveyard from battlefield, instead exile it and take an extra turn after this one. Now, the way that this combo works is actually pretty simple. Hey, player Ugin's Nexus. Cool. All right, awesome. Great. Pay 3, tap, copy the artifact spell, which is Ugin's Nexus. It is a legendary artifact, so yes, you get a copy of it as well. You are actually going to have to sacrifice that copy thanks to the legend rule. Now, also because of that on new Ugin's Nexus, you also have to exile it because it's going to be put in the graveyard from the battlefield. You exile that token copy, take an extra turn after this one. When you do, well, normally, again, you would be skipping that extra turn because Ugin's Nexus would be in play. But with your remaining 2 mana, again, 1 in a blue, bounce Ugin's Nexus back to your hand. So, again, it's not going to make you skip that extra turn because it's not in play for that. So you do get that extra turn. You're in the exact spot you were. And yeah, you get another turn to do whatever else, including doing this exact same thing over and over again. So yeah, this very interesting infinite turn combo with Draftna. And finally, let's talk about Preston, the Vanisher, a 2/5 rabbit wizard that says whenever another non-token creature enters battlefield under control, if it wasn't cast, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 0/1 white illusion. And by paying 1 and a white, you can sacrifice 5 illusions to exile target online permanent, which really doesn't matter all that much for this combo. But yeah, this commander has a lot of potential and some game-breaking potential in combination with another card. And that other card would be Felidar Guardian. When it enters the battlefield, you can exile another target permanent you control to return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Now, I will say, okay, fine. I am kind of cheating on this one, and yes, you do need one other piece. I mean, there are certain circumstances where this could probably work out on its own, where you just need to get Felidar Guardian to come into play, not from being cast. So, if that's reanimation, or if that's, someone blinking it, that could happen with one of your opponents doing that. But yeah, you're going to have to get this going with one more card. Okay, fine, I cheated on this last one, all right? You need a third card for this most of the time, the vast majority of the time, all right? It is technically possible, though. Regardless, let's talk about that third card. And that would be, again, any kind of blink effect, essentially, like a Cloud Shift. That could work. Hey, exile target creature control and turn the battlefield on its own control. So, get Felidar Guardian into play. You blink it with Cloud Shift or whatever other blink effect. It comes into play. You can exile a target permanent. Great, cool, awesome. Also, Preston says, hey, you weren't cast and you came into play. So I am going to say, you know what? Let's get a 0/1 illusion copy of you, which of course also has that ETB. So you blink Felidar Guardian and then it comes back into play. And then you get another token copy of it, which blinks it, which does it again and again and again, making an infinite number of 0/1 white illusion copies of Felidar Guardian. And of course, from there are plenty of ways to win. I mean, just a simple anthem. Any anthem would win you the game once you are able to swing out with your massive Felidar Guardian army, or, if you've got other ETBs to take advantage of, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, definitely an interesting commander with an interesting combination. And with that, today's episode is coming to a close, so yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.